Coming up tonight is Laura Cameron. Let's welcome Laura Cameron to the stage.
Can you hear me? This is the story of what happened after my husband Timothy said, "I don't want to leave you." And I said, "My dear, I know you don't, but you might have to do, and I know how. Our old red Ford will be waiting at the curb, and all the cats we've ever loved will be sitting in the back seat singing their hearts out." Well, of course they would do. They had names like Miss Ella Fitzgerald and the Catboy 3. They bore these names because music was Timothy's life, and his love of it permeated everything in our home. Besides, he swore he heard melody in every meow. We were here in the critical care wing because 40 years earlier, he and a tree and a motorcycle mixed it up, and the tree won. They usually do. After all this time, the broken back and bones were finally wearing out, and Tim let me know exactly what he thought about this as they rushed him into surgery 2 days earlier by singing, "I don't want to die, just want to ride my motorcycle." By now, the doctors had retreated to outside his room, frowning at his clipboard of charts. So in fear, I fled for home. I cursed my way down the dark interstate, which was crammed with crashes and ambulances, spinning the radio dial for some comfort. And what I found was Sergei Rachmaninoff's Night Vigil, which is the great midnight office of the Russian Orthodox Church, Tim's family church long ago. The Nunc Dimittis, which is, "Now let thy servant depart in peace." I calmed a little, and I smiled because I remembered Tim regretted his baritone had not the range of a Russian basso. So instead of singing, he became a guitarist. And his first guitar was some nameless nylon thing that was battered when it came to him in the 1960s. But with it, he played mighty protest songs and gentle hymns and even some rock and roll. But after the accident, he was born again as a jazz guitarist. And he bought his treasure, a 1952 Gibson L4. Once home, I scattered the cats from their baskets as I ran from room to room. I grabbed a crate of CDs, I grabbed our photo albums, my laptop, and from the music room, at his request, I grabbed the Gibson L4. Early the next morning, while Timothy dozed to Kenny Burrell, I called those nearest in space and dearest in time to our hearts, and I said, "Come now." And I looked at the doctor watching me from the door, and I said, "No, Saturday won't do. Come now." When Tim next opened his eyes, his old friend and sometime guitar student, Charlie, was standing by the bed. Tim had me bring him the Gibson and put it in his hands, and with his fingers straining to reach the fretboard and his eyes closed in concentration, he plucked out the first few bars of "Willow, Weep for Me." His humor was still healthy. Then, with a wicked grin, he had me give the guitar to Charlie, and he said, "Now you play it all the way through." And I will say, Charlie rose to the occasion, playing through his tears, better than I'd ever heard it in a lesson. And with another gesture from Tim, I gave Charlie the case too. As friends gathered round his bed and Tim dispensed words of love and blessing and good advice, I downloaded the Rachmaninoff to my laptop. Late at night, if I fell asleep, the great angels of the chant would watch over him in my stead. And indeed, deep in that dark night, he opened his eyes again, but so slowly this time, and he said, "I'm dying, aren't I?" And I said, "My love, I fear you are, but I'm here, and I will stay here, and someday we'll meet again, so you keep that car seat warm. You'll listen for me, won't you?" And he smiled and squeezed my hand and said, "I'll listen, love," and dozed again. The next morning, some friends stopped at our house and picked up that old nylon string warrior come to join the battle for joy over fear. It got pretty raucous. Johnny Be Good is not a quiet song, and nervously I hushed us. The nurses looked up from their work and said, "Don't worry, this room is soundproofed." Why, we had a 20-voice gospel choir in here and nobody knew. And they should know, because by ones and twos, they found excuses to linger. And much later, I learned they stayed to sing with us. We sang, "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" and "Amazing Grace," and we asked with Mother Maybell, "Will the circle be unbroken?" One young nurse, Nick, he said, "He hears you." Well, of course, Wade in the water was shaking the walls, and I said, "But how can you tell?" Tim no longer squeezed my hand or opened his eyes. And Nick pointed to the monitors and he said, "Look, his breathing and pulse go up when you sing. He hears you." After Nick went off shift, he came back. I thought to offer some word of medical wisdom to allay my dread, but instead he said, "I've listened all day as you gave your husband this gift of song, and I want to give a gift to you. It's a song my choir sings to comfort in the heart in the middle of the storm." So we gathered around that veteran guitar, and he taught us the simple words and melody and descant. And haltingly at first we sang, but as we passed the round between us, our voices grew stronger, and he was right. There was comfort in this storm, and there would be peace afterwards. Well, the night doctor sized us up and sent my family and friends to a little hotel across the street, and I curled up as close to Tim's bed as I could so I could hold his hand again in mine. He no longer blinked. He no longer breathed alone, but he was there with me. I dozed a little, but the night nurse tapped me awake and she said, "He's fading now. I've called back your family and friends." I brushed the hair from Tim's face and kissed him, and I pleaded for one more song. And that night, moon came out from behind a curtain of cloud, and harvest moonlight touched that bed, and so I sang, "I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home." And behind me, in that dark room, voices joined me and called the response, "Swing low, sweet chariot," as the music that was Timothy's life carried him to the other side.
Let's hear it again for Laura. What a great night of storytelling, yes? Oh, I am my heart is absolutely warm seeing such a huge attendance tonight. Thank you all for coming out. I'm just really, I didn't think there'd be that many people. So thank you. It's so nice to see so many people share the passion and love for live oral storytelling as I do. So thank you all for coming tonight. Yes. Okay. The judges they scored each teller on a scale from 1 to 10, and then they totaled those 3 scores to come up with a maximum score of 30. I'm not going to announce the score, but they did have a clear winner. Are you ready? tonight. Winning the StoryOly Grand Slam is Laura Cameron. Laura Cameron. Please come on up here, Laura. Laura wins $200 cash.
I'll say, okay, thank you so much for listening, and thank you, judges, for loving my story. I told this story once in England when I wrote it. I told the story a second time when I won it at StoryOly in 2019, 2020 must have been, and you're the third time to hear it. So I am so grateful, and it's 4 years next week, so it was really special to tell this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. And thank you to all the storytellers, from the KGB following you through a hallway, to the pigs in the park, all of it. What an incredible night. I hope you will join us in November 15th. It will be the third Tuesday of every month, November through August, at the Brotherhood Lounge. Sign up at 6:30, stories start at 7. We hope to see you there. Thank you, Maggie, Judy, and Rob. You did a tremendous job tonight. And if we could have the house lights come up, if Aaron